Hey folks, Jim Thomas here, Fitness Management and Consulting, and welcome to our channel today. It's good to have you. And welcome back to all of our subscribers. If you're new to the channel, if this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. And to all watching, if you find the information beneficial and if it helps you, grow and develop your business, please hit that like button. We appreciate it. And then also to learn more about me, learn more about my company, please check out the links below. Now, with that said, let's get into our topic today, and it's proven tips to handle change in the gym business. Now, change can happen at all levels. I mean, certainly in sales, sometimes as simply as pricing. Okay, you're changing a pricing structure, or you're changing a format, or there's change in management, or change in staff, or new equipment, or new programming. There's so much that can and does happen on a regular basis. And one of the things we want to be able to do is we want to be able to handle change. Okay, so for this particular example, I'm going to address it from a selling perspective, but you can look at it from many different avenues. And so I've got 6 things I want you to think about when it comes to handling change. And number 1, when we're doing this change, make sure that we don't get distracted and we continue to follow the process. Okay. Follow the process. So we're handling change, and I can think back just for me, as a manager at one time, and I would be sent in kind of as a troubleshooting kind of a manager, and I'd take over operations. And one of the first things I would do, because the reason I was going in is because it wasn't working, right? And so the first thing I do is I start following the process. Here's how telephone inquiries are going to be handled. Here's how the guest register is going to be handled. Here's what that process will be, A, B, C, and D. Here's how we're going to do this. Okay, I start making follow-up calls. So make sure we stay true to the process. And if you don't have a process, you haven't been using one, you can research that here on the channel. Numerous videos on the proper sales process of how to run an effective sales operation. So follow a process. Number 2, start with management. So if you're an owner, make sure we win over our management team. For an area director, make sure we win over our management team. If they're not on board, if they're not sold on this themselves, you're going to have some challenges. And for me, when I would go in, I was the management team, so I was the one doing it. And that's the reason I was there, as a manager and even as a consultant. It's kind of the same thing. But if you're supervising these folks, make sure management is on board. Because again, if they're not, it won't work. Okay, I've seen many managers over the years take over gyms and not have success because either A, maybe talking about the process, they didn't really know the process, or B, they'd kind of wing it. Okay, and that's not what you're looking for here. So let's start with management, and think about a turnaround situation. I want my sales manager, my general manager, my operations manager, group exercise manager, child care manager, personal training manager. I'm going to get them all on board. I'm going to be real clear with everybody on what's happening. And, they either need to be with me or they're not. And if they're not, we need to make other arrangements. So we're going to start with management. Number 3, effectively handle resistance. And, at the end of the day on some of this, depending on the level of change, okay, if it's a turnaround, or maybe you've just taken over a club, you've acquired a club, or you've merged, the reality is they're either with you or they're not. And, we can't make them be with us, okay? It's just going to be a choice they're going to make. If it's changes that happen on a regular basis in terms of how we do business, new pricing, whatever it might be, more simple changes, here's the message I would give. All the things we talk about in selling, okay, they're great, life tools as well. And one of the most effective ones is learn how to be agreeable. Don't tell people how they're wrong. That pushes them away. Mary, I understand. I've been through change like this before, and I know it can be difficult. Okay, be agreeable, and then start to navigate through it, and just do it in baby steps in some cases. But all the things we talk about in selling, really they work in many other areas. They can work very effectively, from a management perspective. Number 4, make sure we celebrate the early wins. We've created some change, new price programs, new way of doing business. Maybe we've introduced this process, whatever it might be. Celebrate the wins. For a lot of you folks that have worked with me on site in the past, or even folks that have picked up on this on some of the videos, is one of the things that I've always done. I still do it when I get the opportunity. Is I'll shake their hand. Mary, thank you for that sale. I appreciate it. Every time I celebrate that sale, every single time, because I want everyone to know what's important to me. And when we're handling change, we want to really reinforce that change, that, hey, things are working and things are going to be good for us. Number 5, make sure we sustain the dialogue. And this is a common issue. And it could be, maybe the change is we're going to start having regular training sessions. We're going to have regular meetings. We're going to follow up on this. And one of the things that I find when I talk about, sustain the dialogue, one of the things that I find is we get kind of fired up about it, but we don't stay consistent with it, okay? And maybe we have the meeting or we have the dialogue, but we don't follow up, we don't train, okay? Immerse yourself into this, okay? Don't find yourself with success apathy, just because maybe we've had success early on doesn't mean we'll have success later. We have to stay at it, and stay consistent with it day in, day out, because that dialogue of what we're trying to do here really is part of the process. And then finally, number 6, be clear on the metrics. Be clear on the metrics. Be clear on key performance indicators. We've made these changes, and why? Let's look at the numbers. The numbers will tell us why we made the changes, and start to monitor this. Make sure you know your numbers. Okay, know your numbers. Whatever that change might be. What are our numbers? Recurring revenue as it compares to our overall expenses. What is that number? Is it better? Is it worse? What's our penetration rate on personal training? What's our closing percentage? What's our set ratio on appointments? How many calls are we getting in? Whatever it is, it's been a change in marketing, right? So be clear on the numbers. Be clear on your key performance indicators and where you're at. The beauty of that is the math is not going to lie to you. The math is going to tell you what's going on. And in most cases, it'll be pretty undeniable. So take a look at these 6 tips. And when you're ready to make changes, use this as part of your plan of action. Okay? Or maybe you're in the middle of change right now. If it's not going like you like, take a look at some of this and what can we do to maybe reinforce some of this. Because, at the end of the day, if our numbers aren't there, generally speaking, from a personnel standpoint, either we've lost sight of our goals or our self-esteem is suffering. Okay, and so if we're making changes, we can damage both those things sometimes. Okay, make sure we build that up. So take a look at it. When you make changes, let's have a plan to do it. Let's just don't wing it. So folks, my name is Jim Thomas. My company is Fitness Management and Consulting. Appreciate you being here today. Again, to learn more about me and my company, check out the links below, and we look forward to seeing you all in that next video.